Today on Investigate TV Plus, waiting in line, no one likes to do it.
The line will get very long. There'll be hundreds of people here and they only give out 200 tickets.
But in a growing industry, holding a spot is big business.
People can buy their way out of something that might be seen as an inconvenience.
We share insight into the psychology behind why we hate waiting and how some are cashing in.
Then farming that goes beyond the food to find a deeper purpose. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. How researchers are designing farms to sustain life for decades, not just the season.
Instead of making nature work for us, we're working with nature to grow things that want to grow here.
And refusing to let injustice define the future.
When they read the verdict, it was so devastating.
How a wrongfully incarcerated man lost more than a decade of his life, but used his freedom to create a place of healing for families.
Watch my kids ride their ponies. There's nothing greater. It's a legacy that I get to pass on.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
Waiting in line, we've all been there at entertainment venues, trendy restaurants and stores, even the dreaded DMV. Check out this crowd of people lined up outside an office in North Carolina.
One recent study found 85% of U.S. consumers wait in line at least a few times a month. And when asked how it made them feel, the vast majority described negative emotions such as boredom, impatience, and frustration. But now the long wait could be over. For the right price, there are companies you can pay to stand in line for you.
Reporter Heather Graff examines the growing industry that's known as line standing and looks at whether it's a passing trend or the waiting game of the future.
Our nation's capital is still waking up on a quiet Tuesday morning. The sprinkler system and a few joggers just about the only activity.
Today I got here at 6:20.
As Rick Peel arrives at the Washington Monument for work.
Everyone that goes up needs a ticket.
He's not a tour guide at this popular destination, though Rick does aim to be among the first people on site.
I try to always be first or at least in the top 5.
That's because tickets to the top of the monument are in high demand. Free, but first come, first serve, and released daily at 9 a.m. And so Rick is here as a professional line stander.
The line will get very long. There'll be hundreds of people here and they only give out 200 tickets.
It's a gig in which someone pays him to wait on their behalf, thus avoiding the line that soon stretched far down the sidewalk.
Good to have a chair.
And since Rick gets here so early, his clients' tickets are all but guaranteed.
Getting paid to do nothing? It's kind of hard not to love that.
Rick is employed by a Washington, D.C.-based company called Skip the Line, a company his boss, Jennifer Goff, started back in 2017 when she noticed this massive line that kept going and growing outside a Game of Thrones pop-up bar.
It was more of an experiment to see if people would actually hire me. But as soon as it happened, I just felt like this jolt of energy where I could really take this to the next level if I really worked really hard to do so.
From there, Jennifer created a website and the business took off so quickly, she had to build out a team of line standers to help. Customers hiring them to wait for things like restaurant reservations, book signings, limited release product launches, along with general admission tickets to concerts and museums. And in D.C., she says some of the most frequent requests involve waiting in line for congressional hearings and Supreme Court cases, where there is limited public seating inside.
How much are people willing to pay for this service?
So people pay between $30 and $40 an hour. If it's something overnight, it's going to be a little more expensive, especially in the winter months when it can get really cold. It might be raining. It just depends.
For Jennifer, it's all about saving people time in a world where social media users document frequent frustration and even confusion over long waits.
I've never heard of this spot before, but I cannot believe there's a line down the block.
Whether it's trendy cafes and sandwich shops in New York City or the DMV in Tennessee, where this person arrived 2 hours early and yet there were already 20 people lined up ahead of her. The industry of so-called line standing does appear to be on the rise. In fact, the home services platform TaskRabbit also offers waiting in line as a paid task. And from 2023 to 2024, the company says bookings for that service increased 18% nationwide. Even so, the practice of hiring someone to hold your spot can be controversial.
It makes me both sad and angry, to tell you the truth.
Dr. Maggie McQueen is a psychologist based in Massachusetts who feels so strongly about the lost art of waiting in line, she wrote this opinion piece for CNN back in 2023, arguing there's value in delayed gratification and posing the question, when did the act of waiting get such a bad rap?
I'm not saying everything is worth waiting for, but there are certain things in life that I think actually increase in value. I mean, if Christmas was every day, it wouldn't be Christmas.
Would you personally ever hire someone to stand in line for you?
I can't imagine it, to be honest with you. No, I want to be there with the people who are there.
She also has concerns about the impact line standers might have on fairness and perceived inequities in today's society.
We have commodified waiting so much that the people who don't have to wait look down on the people who are waiting, the haves and the have-nots.
And this was actually at the Anthem, which is a concert venue.
Jennifer, for her part, has heard the criticisms and believes it's critical for hired line standers to be transparent about what they're doing.
We do always let people behind us know that, and we always do make sure clients know, hey, once you swap with us, please don't bring 10 other people up front in line with you because it also hurts our business and our branding.
At the Washington Monument on this particular day, we heard no complaints from those behind Rick, even when they learned he's getting paid to stand in line.
It's fine with me. I mean, got to make money somehow.
I need 6 for 10:30.
And this moment,
Thank you so much.
roughly 3 hours after Rick arrived,
2 happy customers.
means the long wait is over and his work here is done.
Yes, it was worth it. Beautiful day. Nothing I'd rather do.
Rick told us his longest ever line standing gig lasted 138 hours. That's almost 6 days.
That was for a high-profile case at the Supreme Court in which his client wanted to secure a spot in the courtroom.
As for one of the more unique requests Skip the Line has gotten over the years, a 4th of July parade. We're told line standers have been asked to arrive hours ahead of time to reserve a seated spot along the parade route. They've even been hired to hold a parking spot for a client.
So would you pay someone?
Absolutely.
You would do it? No problem?
I do not like waiting in line, especially if it's like a long wait, like a parade where you want to get spots.
Yes. I just avoid it and just... Is anything that good?
It depends.
It depends. I guess there are a few things. I don't know. Okay.
Well, still to come, from creating a product to practicing sales pitches and counting change.
18, 19, and 20.
See how children nationwide are gaining the confidence to start a business and the real-world experience to keep it running.
But first, we examine flaws in the justice system some advocates say can lead to wrongful convictions.
Floyd's case is one of those that you look at and you immediately wonder how this conviction came to be.
Animals grazing and children playing, the peaceful sounds of this Kansas homestead stand in stark contrast to the owner's reality just a decade ago.
Floyd Bledsoe spent years in prison for a murder he did not commit, despite strong evidence pointing to someone else. DNA eventually cleared his name, and he's since used his freedom to create a place where families can make the memories he was denied.
Reporter Zach Summers shares his story of resilience in the face of injustice.
This girl right here started all this.
As Floyd Bledsoe pets his young daughter's pony, he's reminded of his own childhood, a time when life was simpler and his connection to nature ran deep.
When I was a kid, we lived on a 160-acre farm.
Land the 49-year-old worked on into his early adult years, a place where his bond with animals took root and gave him a sense of peace.
You get to see that newness of life And that represents a lot of life.
But that love, the tranquility, it wouldn't last. That peace was shattered in 2000 when Floyd was convicted of killing his 14-year-old sister-in-law, a murder the then 23-year-old knew he never committed.
When they read the verdict, it was so devastating, so heartbreaking. It just broke me.
In November 1999, Camille Arfman was found shot to death under a pile of trash just north of Oskaloosa, Kansas. Floyd was sentenced to life in prison for the murder.
And you sit there and you hope that one day somebody will see the truth and will stand up for justice.
For 16 years, he waited, never losing hope, grounded in his innocence.
Ultimately, my faith and the people that truly believed in me carried me through.
On December 8, 2015, Floyd was exonerated. DNA evidence pointed to his brother Tom as the real killer, who ultimately confessed before taking his own life.
Floyd's case is one of those that you look at and you immediately wonder how this conviction came to be. That's the day he walked out.
Trisha Roja Bushnell is the former executive director of the Midwest Innocence Project. She was part of Floyd's legal team.
It had those sort of known flaws of a wrongful conviction that we look at when you get this almost tunnel vision and looking the other direction and ignoring the original powerful evidence.
According to the National Registry of Exonerations, 147 people were cleared of crimes in 2024 alone. The leading causes: official misconduct, false accusations, and ineffective counsel. All were present in Floyd's case.
And in the case of Floyd, it's really incredible to see someone have the opportunity and ability to become the person that they would always be.
Those are my miniature cows.
A man getting back to his roots.
This guy is a Holstein calf.
In June, Floyd celebrated 10 years of freedom with the official ribbon cutting of the Bledsoe Serenity Homestead, a 40-acre farm in Hutchinson, Kansas, where families can interact with animals, fish, and garden.
Kids can come out and, be a kid, touch farm animals, play in the dirt, without worries, giving people an opportunity to make memories.
Memories he also shares with his 3 little children, one of whom inspired Floyd to open the farm to the public.
Watch my kids ride their ponies, there's nothing greater. And to know that it's a legacy that I get to pass on.
Legacy rooted in justice, family, and healing.
I've truly been blessed.
Bledsoe received nearly $20 million from the state of Kansas and Jefferson County for his wrongful conviction.
In addition to running the homestead, he owns 3 other businesses and advocates for criminal justice reform. According to the National Registry of Exonerations, on average, people who are wrongfully convicted lose more than 9 years to prison.
Still ahead, using trees to help fruit flourish, or straw that stops weeds. We explore what some researchers call solutions to create sustainable farms.
The Restoration Agriculture Farm isn't just producing food, it's also producing a community.
Then later, encouraging young entrepreneurs.
They get to express their own art and then sell it and then do it the way they want to do it.
How children as young as 5 are getting the opportunity to build their own business plan. Farming, not just for food, but sustainability.
By mixing trees, shrubs, and annual crops in a specific way, researchers in South Carolina say farmers can nurture the environment instead of depleting it. The methods focus not just on production, but restoring the soil and reducing the effects of extreme weather patterns, including flooding during large rain events.
Reporter Carrie Beal takes us to Clemson University for an in-depth look at what they call agricultural climate solutions.
From the insects to the plants and soil, everything here at Clemson Restoration Agricultural Farm works in harmony.
The Restoration Agriculture Farm isn't just producing food, it's also producing a community. It's plant communities.
For example, since pine trees create acidic soil, blueberries are planted nearby because they thrive in that environment.
And then all around it is
the squash that's providing shade, and another method of weed control that also provides us food.
So this is kind of the idea of the food forest, where
Yes,
everything is kind of working together.
that's right.
Scientists are studying how certain cover crops could reduce weeds.
Now these 30 inches between rows are covered with this wheat straw that obviously has suppressed weeds.
By doing this, they don't need to spray as many herbicides, and they use a similar method to reduce pesticide use.
Bluebirds are natural pest control, so we want them here. So again, as a part of the holistic approach and a systems approach, we're encouraging wildlife and natural predators to pests that we have.
They also use methods like no-till, meaning instead of turning over soil, they minimize soil disturbance.
Every time you put a metal implement and break up all those clumps, they have little tiny roots that are supporting little tiny microbes and also little tiny insects and bacteria and fungi and all sorts. There are communities growing there. If you take metal implement, break it up, they're exposed to this sun, they die.
By keeping those microbes alive, it improves soil health, which means you don't have to use as much fertilizer. Paula says this is a big deal because a lot of the fertilizer used in the U.S. is synthetic, which is made in a factory powered by natural gas.
It is also very energy intensive.
The goal is to use less energy or natural fertilizer like compost and manure. Clemson is also taking steps to address climate change. These shrubs and trees are slightly elevated. Wildflowers sit below in a swale. This helps manage stormwater and flooding.
We don't want it to just take all of the topsoil with it. We want it to actually slow down, let the plants gather some water, let the trees take some water, but get out of the field because we don't want standing water in the field or we'll start to lose trees, shrubs, or annual crops.
It's a powerful solution, not just to sustain the land, but to heal it.
The soil is alive, so it needs tending to. It needs live roots, it needs coverage, it needs respect.
Instead of making nature work for us, we're working with nature to grow things that want to grow here.
You heard us mention food forests, also known as forest gardens. As Clemson researchers just explained, they're designed to mimic ecosystems and patterns found in nature. Instead of rows of single crops, a food forest has multiple layers of trees and plants that support one another to produce food. Experts say a food forest does not have to be replanted year after year and requires less water, fertilizer, and pest control.
To help reduce the use of pesticides, some farmers have turned to artificial intelligence. In Iowa, this farm outfitted their self-propelled sprayer with intelligent cameras. They say they can detect weeds in real time and only apply the chemicals where they're needed, instead of spraying entire fields like they would before AI.
Not only can we cover more acres, but we can also do it way more efficiently.
We're eliminating, probably over the course of a year, half of the chemical that's going into the land and the environment.
The result is less waste and more productivity. The farm owners estimate the upgraded system will save more than $60,000 a year.
Up next, using imagination to create an income.
These are little wool bunnies. I've got big ones and little ones.
Check out the market inspiring the next generation of business leaders.
Getting hands-on experience is vital for many jobs, but what if that opportunity came at the age of 5? A unique marketplace is emerging nationwide where young entrepreneurs can learn real-world skills.
Armed with handmade crafts, fresh produce, and big dreams, reporter Anna Katayama shows us how children are turning their creativity into cash.
From a distance, it might look like any other craft market, but this one features products made and sold by kids.
What you selling?
So these are little wool bunnies.
Did you make those?
Uh-huh.
It's very cool.
Yep. I've got big ones and little ones.
The kids show up with items as widely varied as their imaginations.
I have these little things. It's like the jungle and a little triangle. I've got organic strawberries.
Tessa Millinger took care of the customers who wanted lemonade.
It's made out of real lemons, not just the powder kind, you know.
The Children's Entrepreneur Market sets up shop in communities throughout the region. The program started in 2017 in Utah. It's sold out for 5 years straight and now has plans to expand to all 50 U.S. states.
Great way for kids to get involved in community, to kind of get outside their own comfort zone. A lot of work they have to put on the back end, which I feel like maybe kids aren't getting that much experience of having to put in work. So just so much value I think the kids get out of it.
Parents are urged to take a back seat so that kids ages 5 to 17 can learn about entrepreneurship, innovation, and leadership.
I honestly think it's great because it's fun to watch. It's very cool because they get to express their own art and then sell it and then do it the way they want to do it.
Those are 75 cents a piece. So thank you. Here's your bag. If you want it, you want it.
During a time when passive media consumption can take up a whole lot of a kid's time.
18, 19, and 20.
The market hopes to provide experiences that build the kids' abilities and confidence.
13.
Well, I did learn how to deal money. Just learning how to talk to people. Or to strangers mostly.
How much is your lemonade?
Lemonade's $1.
$1. Now that's a deal.
Market organizers say the community has been welcoming, nurturing, and supportive, showing up in large numbers to buy items from the kids. It costs about $25 to rent a booth space, and most kids are taking home a profit.
It's just a really good time for them to get some experience, some real-world experience, and have some fun. They love it.
The Children's Entrepreneur Market reports they've hosted markets in more than 350 cities and helped more than 70,000 young entrepreneurs with plans to support many more.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching.
On the next Investigate TV Plus, thieves steal funds used to feed American families.
Fraud is big business right now. Transnational criminals have really taken over.
We get an in-depth look at how federal agents are trying to stop the criminals.
They don't sit around and wait for us to catch up with them. They're taking it to the next level every week.
And how you can protect yourself from the scheme draining billions in benefits.